Peppa Pig, I can be anything. Peppa Pig loves to play dress-up.
Wow!
She uses her imagination to become all kinds of different characters. Mummy and Daddy Pig always tell her she can be anything she wants to be when she grows up. Peppa likes to pretend to be many different things. In dance class, Peppa imagines she is a famous ballerina. On opening night, she wears her favourite tutu and jumps, dances and twirls across the stage. At breakfast time, Peppa imagines she is a chef. Sometimes when Daddy Pig cooks, he needs a little extra help. When Peppa visits Mummy Pig's volunteer firehouse, Peppa imagines she is a firefighter too.
Wow!
In the fire truck, it is Peppa's job to sound the siren as the firefighters rush to the rescue. Wee-oo, wee-oo. At the hospital, while visiting Pedro Pony, Peppa imagines she is a nurse. Open up and say ah, Nurse Peppa says. With Nurse Peppa, a speedy recovery is just around the corner.
Hooray!
At the playground, Peppa imagines she is a construction worker. She helps the construction team fill a hole with cement. She digs, moves, pours, and gets the job done right. When Peppa, George and their friends play make-believe, Peppa imagines she is an astronaut. Peppa and her space team travel to the moon in a rocket ship. 3, 2, 1, blast off! Peppa loves to imagine that she can be anything when she grows up. But for now, she likes to play pretend and have a new adventure every day. The end. Peppa Pig, Grumpy Rabbit's Lighthouse. Peppa, George and Danny Dog are helping deliver supplies to Grandad Dog's friend, Grampy Rabbit. Where does Grampy Rabbit live? Asked Peppa. Out at sea on a rock, says Grandad Dog. On a rock, says Peppa. Yes, in that lighthouse, says Danny.
Wow!
Oh, gasped Peppa and George. They land at the lighthouse.
Hooray!
Visitors! Exclaims Grampy Rabbit. I haven't had visitors in many a moon. I get lonely with just the sea and the sky for company. How long have you been here? Asked Peppa. Since Tuesday, says Grampy Rabbit. I've got tales to tell, says Grampy Rabbit, if you'd like to hear. No thanks, says Grandad Dog quickly. Yes, please, reply Peppa and Danny. Grampy Rabbit starts to sing. I got up this morning, the sea was still there, so was the sky. The sea, the sky, the sea, the sky. Peppa and Danny join in. Why is your house called a lighthouse? Asked Peppa. I'll show you, says Grampy Rabbit. They climb a staircase to the very top of the lighthouse. It's called a lighthouse because it has this big light at the top, says Grampy Rabbit.
Wow!
It shines through the dark, helping sailors find their way. Grampy Rabbit takes out a megaphone. And when it's foggy, I use this foghorn. He says, "Fog!"
That's loud,
cries Peppa. "No fog today, just sea and sky," says Grampy Rabbit sadly. "The stories I could tell." "No thanks," says Grandad Dog. "We must be going." Peppa, George, Danny and Grandad Dog set off for home. It is now very dark. "Don't worry," says Grandad Dog. "The light from Grampy Rabbit's lighthouse will show us the way home." Grampy Rabbit is ready for bed, so he turns the light out. He also turns the big light out. Grandad Dog phones Grampy Rabbit. "Could you turn the big light on again?" he asks. The big light shines again. "Hooray!" cry Peppa and Danny. It is getting foggy.
I can't see the light anymore,
says Peppa. Grandad Dog phones Grampy Rabbit. "It's us again," he says. "Can you sound the foghorn, please?" "Fog!" bellows Grampy Rabbit. "Fog!" Grampy Rabbit's voice is like a foghorn. Thanks to Grampy Rabbit, they arrived back safe on land.
Hooray!
Mummy Pig, Daddy Pig, and Mrs. Dog are waiting to take them home.
We went to a lighthouse,
says Peppa excitedly. Grampy Rabbit's lighthouse guided us home safely, says Grandad Dog.
Grampy Rabbit sang a song. Would you like to hear it?
asks Peppa. No thanks, says Grandad Dog.
Yes, please,
say the parents. Peppa and Danny sing.
I got up this morning, the sea was still there. So was the sky, the sea, the sky.
The end. Peppa Pig. Peppa loves our planet. It was Love Our Planet week at Playgroup. Peppa and her friends were very excited. Welcome, children, said Madame Gazelle, pointing to a picture of the world. This is Earth, the planet we live on. Wow, gasped the children. The little things we do to look after our planet can make a big difference, continued Madame Gazelle. Can anybody think of some things we can do to help?
Recycle,
cried Peppa.
Use less water,
said Pedro Pony.
Grow our own snacks,
squeaked Rebecca Rabbit.
Walk, not drive,
said Zoe Zebra.
Save electricity,
barked Danny Dog, switching off the light. All excellent ideas, said Madame Gazelle. Well done, but let's turn the lights back on for now, Danny, so we can see.
Okay,
said Danny. Now, children, I'd like you each to make a Love Our Planet scrapbook at home, said Madame Gazelle. You can fill it with all the things you do to help look after our planet and then bring it in for show and tell. Ooh, gasped Peppa and her friends excitedly. They loved making scrapbooks and they loved show and tell. At home time, Daddy Pig arrived with Peppa and George's scooters.
Can we scooter home every day, Daddy?
asked Peppa.
It will be better for our planet if we don't use the car.
Great idea, Peppa, said Daddy Pig. I love scootering. Daddy Pig raced off and Peppa and George scootered after him.
Wait for us, Daddy,
cried Peppa. When they got home, Peppa and George helped Mummy and Daddy Pig with dinner.
If we put the peelings in the waste bin, Grandpa can use the compost for his garden, said Peppa. Then he can look after our planet too. Lovely idea, Peppa, said Mummy Pig. We can take them to Grandpa tomorrow. The next day, Peppa and George scootered over to Granny and Grandpa Pig's house with the food waste bin. Thank you, Peppa, said Grandpa Pig, thrilled with his gift. Over time, these peelings will turn into compost, which will be very fantastic food for my plants and will help my garden grow very nicely. And it will help look after our planet, said Peppa. Then Grandpa Pig had a surprise. He gave Peppa and George a window box to take home. These flowers are very important, he explained. Bees and butterflies love them. We need insects to help plants make seeds. Thank you, Grandpa, cried Peppa, buzzing around and pretending to be a bee. I'm a busy bee, looking after our planet. Buzz, buzz, George giggled. When they arrived home from Granny and Grandpa Pig's house, Peppa and George watered their lovely new window box. Look, George, cried Peppa. All these bees and butterflies have come to visit our new flowers. We're looking after our planet. After lunch, it was time to pop to the shops. Daddy, remember to bring some old shopping bags so we don't have to get new ones, said Peppa. Great idea, Peppa, said Daddy Pig, picking up some shopping bags to reuse. Right, let's go. Just as they were leaving, George pointed to the light switch. He wants to turn off the light to look after our planet, explained Peppa. Thank you, George, said Mummy Pig. I'll do it for you. From now on, your job can be to remind us to turn off the lights. George grinned. He was very happy with his new job. That evening, Peppa and George tidied up and put everything into the right recycling bins. Let's sing the recycling song, said Peppa. Recycle, recycle, we're going to recycle tin cans, bottles, newspapers. Recycle, recycle, we're going to recycle. We'll take everything to Mr. Bull's recycling depot tomorrow, said Mummy Pig. But there's still one more thing left for us to do today. Our scrapbooks, cheered Peppa. Peppa and George used some of the cardboard from the recycling bin to make their Love Our Planet scrapbooks. Then they drew and stuck in pictures of all the different things they had done to help look after our planet. Wow, what lovely scrapbooks, said Daddy Pig. They're recycled, Daddy, said Peppa proudly. At bedtime, Daddy Pig was the last one to brush his teeth. Make sure you turn off the tap while you're brushing, Daddy, said Peppa. That way you won't waste any water. Slank slapper, mumbled Daddy Pig through a mouthful of toothpaste. The next morning at playgroup, Peppa, George and their friends showed Madame Gazelle their Love Our Planet scrapbooks. Fantastic work, children, said Madame Gazelle. You found lots of ways to look after our planet. I hope you've all learned that when it comes to looking after our planet, every little thing makes a big difference, shouted Peppa and her friends, finishing Madame Gazelle's sentence for her. Peppa, George and their friends love our planet. Everyone loves our planet. The end.
Peppa Pig, Recycling Fun. Mr. Bull, the bin man, is collecting the rubbish. It is early in the morning, so he tries to be as quiet as he can. Crash, smash, splash! But Mr. Bull is not very good at being quiet. Hello, Mr. Bull, snorts Daddy Pig, Peppa and George. Hello, everyone, says Mr. Bull. Peppa and George are helping to clear up the breakfast things. We don't put bottles in the rubbish bin, they can be recycled, says Mummy Pig. Soon they have collected enough things so Peppa and her family set off for the recycle centre. Mummy Pig has the bottles and Peppa has the tin cans. George has the newspapers. Is everybody ready? Asked Daddy Pig. Yes, shout Peppa and George. Clink, clink, rattle, rattle, rustle, rustle. Soon they arrive at Miss Rabbit's recycle centre. Miss Rabbit is sitting up high, up inside a big crane. She is busy recycling all the rusty old cars. It is very noisy. Who knows which bin the bottles go in? Asks Mummy Pig. The green one, says Peppa. That's right, snorts Daddy Pig. Clink, clink. And the cans go in the blue one, says Peppa. Well done, Peppa, says Mummy Pig. Rattle, rattle. Daddy Pig lifts George up so he can empty the newspapers into the red bin. Rustle, rustle. Where's our car gone? Asks Daddy Pig. Stand back, shouts Miss Rabbit from up above them. Miss Rabbit is about to recycle Peppa's car. Stop! Shouts Peppa. Our car isn't old and rusty. Ha ha, silly me, says Miss Rabbit. I just love recycling. So do we, laughs Peppa. But we also love our little car. The end. Peppa Pig and the Earth Day Adventure. It's Earth Day, and Peppa Pig and her family are ready to celebrate with a visit to the botanical gardens.
Wow! Hooray!
Before they go, Peppa and George sort the recycling. Newspapers go in the red bin, cans go in the blue bin, and bottles go in the green bin. Vegetable scraps and eggshells go into the compost bin, says Peppa. Grandpa Pig will use the compost in his garden. Ew, says George. It's time to go, and Daddy Pig has a surprise. An electric car. This car runs on batteries instead of gas. That helps the air stay clean. The car even has a name. It is called Roger. This car can drive itself, says Daddy Pig. Peppa and George look out the window on the way to the botanical gardens. Look, says Peppa, a windmill. Ew, says George. Mr. Bull built a windmill near my school, says Peppa. The wind turns the blades and they make electricity. Whoosh, says George. At the botanical gardens, Peppa and her family meet Miss Rabbit. Welcome, she says. Would you like to see the wildflower garden? Yes, please, says Peppa. Look at all the bees, says Mummy Pig. The bees and flowers help each other. Miss Rabbit tells them, the bees take pollen from one flower and move it to another one. That helps the flower make seeds which grow into new flowers.
Wow!
Peppa and her family visit the room with cacti and palm trees. Peppa sees a new plant. "What is that?" she says. "That's a Venus flytrap," Miss Rabbit says. "It eats flies." Peppa and George watch while the plant eats a fly. "Wow," says Peppa. "Jump," says George. The next room is very wet. "This is a rainforest garden," says Miss Rabbit. "These plants need lots of water." Miss Rabbit flips a switch and turns on the rain. Next, they head outside to the children's garden, where they find something really special, a muddy puddle. Peppa's friends are visiting the botanical gardens today too. "Hello, Susie Sheep. Hello, Pedro Pony. Hello, Mandy Mouse," she says. On the way home, Daddy has a rest while Roger drives the car.
Wow.
"It's like magic," says Peppa. Police officers, Panda and Squirrel stop Daddy Pig's car because Daddy Pig doesn't have his hands on the wheel. But it's okay, Roger is driving. Roger shows his driver's license to the officers. It's dark when the family returns home. It has been a great Earth Day. "Will you be all right out here, Roger?" asks Peppa. "Oh, yes," says Roger. "Good night, Peppa." "Good night, Roger," says Peppa. "Happy Earth Day."
Hooray!
The end. Peppa loves doctors and nurses. It was people who help us today at playgroup, and everyone was excited. "Now, children," began Madame Gazelle, "today we have two very special visitors. They are both people who help us." "Is one the Queen?" asked Peppa. "Is one my auntie?" asked Rebecca Rabbit. "Dinosaur, roar!" asked George. "Three wonderful guesses," said Madame Gazelle. "But the people coming to see us today are Dr. Brown Bear and Nurse Fox." "Hooray!" cheered the children, jumping up and down. They loved Dr. Brown Bear and Nurse Fox. "When I hurt my leg, I had to go to hospital," said Pedro Pony. "Dr. Brown Bear and Nurse Fox looked after me." "When I was feeling poorly," said Peppa, "Dr. Brown Bear made me feel all better." Just then there was a noise from outside. The children ran to the window to look. "Madame Gazelle, it's Dr. Brown Bear and Nurse Fox." "Good morning, everyone," said Dr. Brown Bear. "Today, Nurse Fox and I are going to talk to you about keeping fit and staying healthy. Let's start by going over to the playground and getting our bodies moving." "Yippee!" cheered the children. They loved moving around outside. Dr. Brown Bear and Nurse Fox had built an obstacle course. "To keep fit and healthy, we must move our bodies every day," said Dr. Brown Bear. "Madame Gazelle will show us all how it's done." The children watched in amazement as Madame Gazelle completed the obstacle course perfectly. "Ta-da!" she cried. "Now it is your turn, children," said Dr. Brown Bear. "Ready, steady, go!" Peppa and her friends set off. They swung, crawled, hopped, slid, skipped, and jumped around. "This is so much fun, isn't it, Susie?" cheered Peppa. But as she turned to Susie Sheep, Peppa forgot to look where she was going and fell on her bottom. "Oops!" cried Peppa. Nurse Fox came straight over. "Are you all right?" she asked. "I think so," said Peppa. "Good," said Nurse Fox, checking that Peppa was not hurt. "You can carry on now, Peppa, but please be careful." "Thank you for helping me," said Peppa. Peppa loved the obstacle course. "This is my favourite bit," she cried, jumping high and landing in a big muddy puddle. "I'm not sure that's part of the course, Peppa," said Madame Gazelle, smiling. "Snack time!" called Nurse Fox. "Hooray!" cheered the children. "Don't forget to wash your hands before you eat," said Nurse Fox. All the children went to wash their hands. Peppa and Rebecca sang the Wash Your Hands song. "Wash, wash, wash our hands, wash them nice and clean. Bubbly, scrubbly, scrubbly, bubbly, wash them nice and clean." "Eating healthy food helps us to stay fit and strong," said Dr. Brown Bear as he tried to open his snack box. This seems to be stuck. Nurse Fox, could you help me, please?" Nurse Fox came over and opened the box easily. "Nurse Fox," gasped Peppa, "you must eat lots of healthy food to be that strong." Everyone laughed. Peppa and her friends loved snack time. "Yummy!" they cried. Keeping fit and strong was delicious. "You've done such a good job today, children," said Dr. Brown Bear when they finished. "I'm going to give you all a sticker." "Hooray!" cheered the children. They loved stickers too. Madame Gazelle brought out the dressing up box. "It's time for you to be the doctors and nurses now, children," she said. Peppa and her friends had lots of fun dressing up. "Dr. Brown Bear," said Peppa the doctor, "you must keep fit and stay healthy too." "Of course," he replied. The children took Dr. Brown Bear outside and told him to go around and around the obstacle course. "One more time," cried Peppa the doctor. "Okay, how's this?" gasped Dr. Brown Bear. When he was allowed to stop, he looked quite tired. "Dr. Brown Bear doesn't look very well," said Peppa the doctor. "I think he needs a plaster." "And bandages," added Nurse Danny Dog. "And more bandages," added Nurse Susie. "Now he needs a sticker," said Peppa the doctor. All the little doctors and nurses covered Dr. Brown Bear in stickers. "Thank you for being so helpful," said Dr. Brown Bear. He was covered in so many bandages he couldn't move. What a patient he was. "What do we say to our visitors?" asked Madame Gazelle. "Thank you, Dr. Brown Bear. Thank you, Nurse Fox," cheered the children, giving them a big clap. Clap, clap, clap. Peppa loves doctors and nurses. Everyone loves doctors and nurses. The end. Peppa Pig, School Bus Trip. Peppa and her friends are going on a school bus trip. "Let's check you are all here," says Madame Gazelle. "Here!" cries Peppa. Today, begins Madame Gazelle, we are going on a trip to the mountains. Hooray! Cheer all the children. Peppa and Susie are already a little hungry. Please, can we eat our lunch now? They ask Madame Gazelle. Why not eat your apples and save the rest for the picnic? She replies. The bus has now arrived at the foot of the mountain. The road is very steep. Come on, bus, you can make it! Everyone cheers. Peppa and her friends have finally made it to the top of the mountain. Look at the view, gasps Madame Gazelle. All the children look out over the valley. Wow, sighs Peppa loudly. Wow, 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 Peppa hears in the distance. What was that? She says quietly. It's your echo, Peppa, replies Madame Gazelle. An echo is the sound you hear when you speak loudly in the mountains, explains Madame Gazelle. Grant, woof, bah, snort. Grant, woof, bah, snort. Now it's time for a picnic lunch. Peppa loves picnics. Everyone loves picnics. Yum, yum. Where are the ducks? Asked Peppa, taking a bite of her sandwich. They always turn up when we have picnics. Quack, 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 quack. Here come the ducks. Hello, would you like some bread? Peppa asks them. The ducks are very lucky today. There is plenty of bread. The bus has arrived. It is time to go home. Let's all sing a song, suggests Madame Gazelle. Hooray! Everyone has had a great day. The end. Peppa Pig Bicycle Race. It is a lovely sunny day. Peppa and George are going out for a ride. Peppa rings her bell. Ding, ding. Come on, George, she says. Follow me. Peppa is riding her bicycle. George is riding his tricycle. Hurry up, George, calls Peppa. You're going so slowly, says George. Peppa sees her friends, Danny Dog, Susie Sheep, and Rebecca Rabbit. They are riding their bicycles too. Danny points down the hill. Let's have a race to the bottom, he says. Danny, Susie, and Rebecca ride very fast. Peppa rides quite fast. George does not ride very fast at all. George is riding a baby bike, snorts Peppa. So are you, says Danny. You've still got stabilisers. Peppa looks down at her bike. It is the only one with stabilisers on it. Let's ride up the hill again, says Danny. No, says Peppa. I think I'll stay here. Peppa asks Daddy Pig to take her stabilisers off. Do you think you can ride without them? He says. I can do it, Peppa nods. I can. She gets on her bicycle and starts pedalling. Uh-oh, Peppa falls onto the grass. Riding without stabilisers is hard. George giggles. It is not funny. Peppa frowns. Daddy Pig helps Peppa to get back on her bicycle. Let's try again, he says. Ready, steady, go. Don't let go of me, Daddy, says Peppa. Don't worry, says Daddy Pig. I've got you. Peppa pedals faster and faster. You're doing really well, shouts Daddy Pig. Peppa looks round. Daddy Pig has let go. Ho ho, he cries. You're cycling on your own. Peppa can ride on her own without stabilizers.
Wow!
She goes to find her friends. Look at me, shouts Peppa. I can ride my bike properly. Danny, Susie and Rebecca all cheer. Hooray!
Hooray!
Come on, says Peppa. Let's race down the hill again. Danny, Susie and Rebecca ring their bells. Peppa loves riding her bicycle. Everyone loves riding bicycles. The end. Peppa Pig, A Trip to the Moon. It is a lovely sunny day, and George and his friend Edmund are playing with their space toys in the garden. Oh dear, Edmund's space toy has landed on Peppa's head. She is not happy. Are you going to the moon, boys? Says Daddy Pig. No, says George. It's just boring space stuff for babies, Daddy, says Peppa. It's not real. Space is real, Peppa, replies Daddy Pig. Mummy Pig tells everyone there is a show at the museum that is all about the moon.
Wow!
That sounds fun. Shall we go and see it? Asked Daddy Pig.
Hooray!
George and Edmund laugh. They want to see the show. At the museum, they all buy tickets. Are we really going to the moon? Peppa asks. No, Peppa, it's just pretend, Miss Rabbit tells her. Mr. Rabbit is a tour guide. This way for our trip to the moon, he calls, leading them inside. Prepare for takeoff. When they are all seated in the rocket, a voice booms, Blast off! We live on a planet. Does anyone know what it's called? Mr. Rabbit asks. Earth, Daddy Pig guesses. That's right, Mr. Rabbit smiles. And what is the moon made of? Mr. Rabbit wants to know next. The moon is made of cheese, of course, Daddy Pig jokes. But Mr. Rabbit doesn't find it very funny. No, the moon is made of rock. This is a serious tour, so no jokes, please. It is pretend, though, isn't it? Peppa asks. Yes, Peppa. If it was the real moon, you could jump over my head, Mr. Rabbit tells her. Gravity is what keeps us on the ground, and it is weaker on the moon, so you can jump higher.
Wow!
Some big rubber bands drop down and Mr. Rabbit straps everyone in. Peppa and the others feel like they are jumping on the moon. It is so much fun. Miss Rabbit tells them to say, Moon cheese, as she takes a picture. It is the end of the tour, so Miss Rabbit takes everyone to the moon shop. How about some real moon cheese? Says Miss Rabbit. How much is it? Asked Daddy Pig. £5, please, says Miss Rabbit. £5? Snorts Daddy Pig. It's all for a good cause, says Miss Rabbit. I like the moon now because it is very interesting, says Peppa, holding a picture of everybody bouncing on the moon. And very tasty, laughs Daddy Pig, eating his yummy moon cheese. The end. Peppa Pig and the library visit. It's bedtime for Peppa and George.
Could we have a story, please? asked Peppa.
Okay, says Mummy Pig. Here's the one about the red monkey.
We always read that one, says Peppa. The red monkey takes a bath, brushes his teeth, and he goes to sleep. Let's choose another book instead.
Peppa goes to the bookshelf. There's a book about a blue tiger. A book about a green spider. A book about an orange penguin.
Wow.
And... Ugh, says Peppa.
What's this one?
The Wonderful World of Concrete, reads Mummy Pig. I've been looking for that, says Daddy Pig. It's a book I borrowed from the library.
What's a library?
asked Peppa. A library is a place where you can go to borrow books. When you're finished reading them, you take them back so others can borrow them, says Daddy Pig. He looks at the book. I have had this for rather a long time, Daddy Pig says. You can return it tomorrow, says Mummy Pig. But right now it's bedtime.
After Daddy reads the story,
Peppa insists. Daddy Pig begins to read. The Wonderful World of Concrete. Concrete is made of sand, water, and other things. Chapter 1. Sand. Sounds of snoring fill the room. Peppa and George are fast asleep. So is Mummy Pig. The next morning, Peppa and her family head to the library. Peppa can't believe how many books are on the shelves.
look at them all,
She shouts. Shh, Peppa, says Daddy Pig. You must be quiet in the library, because people come here to read and to be quiet.
Next, please,
comes another shout. It's Miss Rabbit, the librarian.
Hello, Mummy Pig,
She says,
Are you returning these books?
Yes, Miss Rabbit. Mummy Pig gives her books to Miss Rabbit to scan, and the computer beeps as the books slide across the counter.
Why is that computer beeping?
asked Peppa. It's checking to see that you haven't been naughty and kept the book for too long. I may have kept this book for a bit too long, says Daddy Pig. Don't worry, says Miss Rabbit. Then her computer makes a loud, long beep. Daddy Pig, she shouts. You've had this book out for 10 years.
Naughty Daddy,
says Peppa. Now that Daddy Pig's book is returned, he can borrow another one. Peppa and George want to borrow books too. Miss Rabbit shows Peppa and George to the children's section.
Wow.
Ooh,
says Peppa.
there are books about princesses and animals and planets.
Danny Dog and Susie Sheep are at the library too. Danny Dog is borrowing a book about soccer. Susie Sheep is borrowing one about doctors. George has chosen his book. It's about dinosaurs.
Dinosaur.
Says George. Daddy Pig has found an exciting new book. Further Adventures in the World of Concrete.
But Daddy Pig,
Says Peppa.
I want a fun bedtime book.
Mummy Pig pulls out a red monkey book. Not that again, says Peppa. It's boring. It's a different story, says Mummy Pig. Once upon a time, there was a red monkey. I know, says Peppa. He had a bath, brushed his teeth, and went to sleep, she says. No, says Mummy Pig. He had adventures. Oh, say the children. They all gather around to see the book. Peppa wants to hear the story. We can read it at home, says Mummy Pig. But I already chose a book about a princess, says Peppa. Then she sees another book about birds. That book looks interesting too. Miss Rabbit has good news for Peppa. You can take up to 3 books home if you'd like.
Hooray!
Yippee, says Peppa. You just have to remember to bring them back on time, says Miss Rabbit. And that goes for you too, Daddy Pig. Peppa laughs. I'll make sure he remembers. I want to come back to the library all the time. I love the library. Back at home, it's bedtime. Mummy Pig opens the new Red Monkey book. Once upon a time, there was a red monkey. He jumped in a space rocket and went to the moon. The moon, says Peppa. What an adventure. Mummy Pig turns the page. He had a picnic with a dinosaur. Dinosaur, says George. Then the red monkey swam under the sea. Mummy Pig turns the last page. Finally, he climbed the highest mountain. That was a busy day. I think Daddy Pig agrees, says Peppa. Everyone looks. Daddy Pig is fast asleep. The end, whispers Mummy Pig. Sounds of Daddy Pig's snores fill the room. Everyone laughs. What a fun day. The end. Peppa loves. Peppa loves her best friend, Susie Sheep. I wish my tail was soft and fluffy like yours, says Peppa. I like your tail, Peppa, giggles Susie. It's cute and curly. Peppa loves dressing up. Look at me, cries Peppa. I'm a dancing fairy princess. Oh, your wings are really shimmery and shiny, says Nurse Susie. Peppa loves her golden boots. If you jump in muddy puddles, you must wear your boots, laughed Daddy Pig. My golden boots sparkle and glitter, says Peppa proudly. I'm going to make the biggest splash ever. Peppa loves bath time. Quack, quack, cries Peppa. Little duck, your wings are so smooth and bright. Quack, quack, giggles George. Splash! Bonk, bonk. Peppa loves her teddy. Time to go to sleep, Peppa and George, whispers Mummy Pig. Good night, Teddy, sighs Peppa. You're so cuddly and furry. Night, night. The end.
Hi kids, did you have fun watching this video? Then like and subscribe for more.